So one of the voters who apparently was not overly impressed with Donald Trump's performance was his new endorser and transition team member, RFK Jr., who was fairly honest about how he thought this performance went for Donald Trump. Let's take a listen.
Vice President Harris clearly won the debate in terms of her delivery, her polish, her organization, and her preparation. I think on substance, President Trump wins in terms of his governance, but he didn't tell that story. In fact, the first question was an extraordinary lost opportunity because there's a question, and I think Doris pointed out that she never answered, which is, are Americans better 4 years later? And there's really no argument for saying that they are by all the indicia by which you measure social deterioration. We have doubled the inflation rate. The housing rates have doubled in the last 4 years. There's 15 million more people, Americans living in poverty. We have these enormous suicide rates, enormous overdose rates, and we're in 2 wars, and all of these things can be attributed to the poor leadership from the Biden-Harris team. And that's the argument that he should have been making, but he got distracted. Yeah. And I think it's unfortunate because I think he really had an airtight argument for his presidency, but he was not able to make that case to the American public.
He says, and he's commented a couple of times today, that he won the debate, and all the polls show that he won the debate. I haven't seen a single one to show that. What did you think of that reaction?
Well, I have seen those polls. They're not. They're polls that you see on the internet, and a lot of them probably have statistical problems.
He's sort of laughing and says that, it was probably like a cat turd poll that I don't know that I'm going to take too seriously. What'd you make of those comments? I was kind of surprised.
I think look, at the very least, RFK, every once in a while, he'll surprise you. And he'll say, what he thinks. I think that's what a lot of people appreciated about him whenever he was running for president. And look, at least give him credit. He's like, I don't think he did well at all. And that he honestly has the most at stake here right now, because not only did he stake his entire reputation and his whole coalition on a Trump victory, he's claiming that Trump is going to appoint either him or people who are aligned with him to office whenever he is elected. So at the very least, if you were to expect anybody to spin, it really would be him. I honestly think he has the most on the line out of anybody in the coalition.
That's kind of true.
Think about it.
His whole social circle and everything.
His whole social circle. Nicole Shanahan, I'm like, good luck. If Trump doesn't win, you people are screwed. In terms of just think about it in terms of coalitional support, in terms of overall impact of your campaign, which you're hoping to leverage into power. No Democrat will ever speak to you ever again after you've gone this hard. They bet the farm, really, on the Trump campaign. So for their sake, they better hope he wins.
His whole family came out against him.
His whole family came out against him, which I guess isn't all that new. But when the family name is now more in the discourse than ever before. Shanahan, like I said, you shouldn't underestimate the social circles and all these things that those people run in. If she doesn't have any power, good luck to you. The knives are going to come out from all her billionaire neighbors and oligarchs. My only point being that they probably have more incentive to spin than anybody else. And so whenever they have to tell the truth about what's going on here, that just tells you that things didn't go that well. And that's the problem that I find, is that there's a deep amount of hackery and a lot of commentary. By the way, I did call it on our show afterwards. I was like, can't wait to see Jesse Waters bitch about the moderators. And that's immediately what happened when it was on the show, because that's why, if you noticed the beginning of our show, what was Trump saying? He's like, Jesse, he really got it. He really understood what was going on. At a certain point, too, for those people, they're not being honest enough with their audience or preparing them, which will probably just prime Stop the Steal 2.0.
Absolutely.
Whereas with RFK, at the very least, he's like, I didn't do well. It's like, that's what being honest with people actually looks like.
But you know what? Trump is not going to like that answer.
Yeah.
And he watches.
And
true. I think he was out truthing about Neil Cavuto. So, he watches this coverage on cable news religiously. And if you are anything but Jesse Waters level sycophantic ass kissing, it is not enough. Because Jesse not only was bitching about the moderators, which was kind of the total go-to play, but he also was Trump had all the most memorable lines, like when he said run spot run, or when he said that he had like 4 things that he rattled off, and tried to not just say, oh, well, the moderators are the reason he lost, but also tried to say actively, actually, I thought Trump was way better than Kamala Harris, which again, no, you don't believe that.
Yeah.
You don't. Like, you're just lying to your audience. You're saying the thing that you know is going to make Trump happy. And this is why, because I'm sure, like, whatever slot RFK was promised on the transition team, you know, you can still technically get that slot, but that doesn't mean that you're going to have any influence whatsoever going forward in a Trump administration. It doesn't mean he's ever going to call you again, or you're going to be on Air Force One, or have a meeting with him, or whatever, because Saagar, you made such an important point on debate night. After something like this, Trump is going to go and search out his most sycophantic aides, advisors, supporters, etc. That's why he's hanging out with Laura Loomer.
Yes.
She's safe for him because she'll tell him whatever he wants to hear and have zero qualms about it. So if you are even willing to be honest enough, and you know, there was obviously spin there in what RFK Jr. said too, with being like, well, I think he had an airtight case and here's why he's so much better and he just failed to make it and that's unfortunate. But the fact he let any truth in there at all means he is gonna be persona non grata with Donald Trump. And you know, that was quick. I also wonder how Tulsi Gabbard is going to, standing is gonna fare within the Trump world, because he's certainly not gonna blame himself, Trump.
Never.
For his complete failure, even though there is no one to blame but himself. You know, whatever you think about the moderators, I was thinking about, remember when Megyn Kelly asked him that question about like Rosie O'Donnell or whatever, which he also thought was very unfair. He turned that into a great moment for himself. So if you are on top of your game, even if the moderator is like, you know, unfair in your view towards you, he used to have the capability to do that. So anyway, there is no one to blame but himself, but we know he will not blame himself. So who was prominently advising him and advertised as advising him going up to this debate? Tulsi Gabbard. So I wonder if she also is going to be on the outs, if he's going to blame her for his inability to rise to the occasion and make some basic ass political points against Kamala Harris.
That's what he does. He always lashes out at the advisors. It's always the people who are around him. I guarantee you there are going to be a lot of snakes in his ear.
Oh, yeah.
Right now, Polymarket odds on whether Trump will fire his campaign manager before the election, let's see, is 30% spiked since the debate. So anyway, I'll just put that out there.
Interesting.
And let's see.
And is it La Savita who's technically the...
Chris La Savita is technically...
Not Susie Wiles. She's sort of like number 2? Or?
I think she's number 2.
Okay.
Also, Kamala actually is now leading Trump in the betting market. It says presidential election winner is 2024, 50% Kamala, 49% Trump. First time that she's led him in quite a long time.
And before going into the debate, it was like 54 Trump, 46 Harris or something
spread,
like that.
That was to Donald Trump, tied after the debate, and now actually has Kamala in the lead. I mean, look, it's 50-49, so it's not like overwhelming, but
it's also just, you know, random people betting online. But
okay, but
still
I mean, it's a $1 billion market. There's $900 million in this market, so you shouldn't discount it.
No, it's still indicative of at least the analysis of the general consensus about what happened in this debate and how it's likely to move things. Right. You know,
I don't
people
think
can be wrong.
Betting markets, by the way, are perfect, but there's a good, you know, I read Nate Silver's book, and he does make a good point that there's just a lot more that does go into it when you genuinely have money and large sums of money on the line that sometimes can call things out in a better direction than pundits or pundits and or any other like so-called conventional wisdom, because you have to factor in downside risk and upside and everything. And because they were so wrong last time around, people are always looking for opportunities this time to make it, and that's why Kamala being tied, pretty significant, I think, with the overall polling average.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see the next few rounds of post-debate polls that come out to see, you know, we
should probably get something by Monday, actually.
I would think so. Yeah, I would definitely think by Monday we'll have something to chew on there. Right. So something to look forward to.
All right.
All right, we got a great panel lined up that we have now promoted several times because we so enjoyed the conversation that we recorded with these two individuals, talking about the Taylor Swift endorsement and also talking about these emerging gender dynamics among Gen Z, which are really fascinating. Largest gender divide, political gender divide of any generation is Gen Z. So let's go ahead and get to that.
Hey, if you like that video, hit the like button or leave a comment below. It really helps get the show to more people.
And if you'd like to get the full show ad-free and in your inbox every morning, you can sign up at breakingpoints.com.
That's right. Get the full show, help support the future of independent media at breakingpoints.com.